John Chagnon. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to finally do this after
I
what 2 years of wanting to
I
do
know.
it.
I mean, this is honestly, it was the hardest interview to record. I think it's been really 2 years that I've been
It has
bothering
been.
you, harassing you to record an interview. And it's funny that it's always the ones that I'm closer, like friends with, that give me the hardest time to
Yes,
record
and
an
it was for
interview.
if it was for legitimate reasons. It wasn't I wasn't avoiding, it was legitimate reasons.
I know,
As you
I
know,
know.
there was a lot happening, but
I
things are stable, so we're good now.
I know. I'm happy we're finally recording this
Yes.
meeting because I've been wanting to interview you for a very long time, as you just mentioned. And it's very nice to see you. I know you're at a place right now where it's really nice and sunny. The weather is, well, it's not sunny now because
It's
it's
night right
dark, but the
now.
weather is very nice. I'm still in Canada where it's not as cold today, but it's been, like the weather has been Canadian weather to the extreme. So
Yep.
it's nice to see
Definitely.
you, John. I mean, I'll let you do a quick intro, but for anyone who doesn't know John, I mean, John is well known in Ontario, especially for anyone who has worked with the Criminal Lawyers Association. I think, John, you've been involved with the CLA even longer than many lawyers who are now involved with the
23
CLA.
years.
So that's amazing. Like it's your career almost. Like I mean, I've never known the CLA without you. So for me, the CLA or the Criminal Lawyers Association means John Chagnon. So I mean, it's
That's almost
associated.
half the life of CLA I've been involved with,
Yeah.
and it's been I've seen it change and grow so much in that time. It's a really exciting group.
It is, and it's very nice. And I have to say, honestly, like you deserve an award for all the work that you do for the
Thank
CLA
you.
because of, I mean, you're involved in everything, obviously, in all the projects, you know what's going on. And most importantly, you're very patient. You're working with all these lawyers. We all have difficult personalities, egos, and we're always stressed out because we have a lot of work. And you're always so nice, so kind, so patient, even though I know that you have your own, stresses that you have to deal with.
Yes, I do, and I will say, the lawyers are fascinating. They're very honest, which makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah,
They're always willing to learn, but they're also willing to teach me as well. So I have to say, I've been extremely lucky to work with many criminal defense lawyers who a lot have become judges over the years, and especially this last 6 years with COVID and seeing how
yeah,
hard the Criminal Lawyers Association's leadership, John Struthers at the time, as
yes.
well as the amazing board members fought to keep things going and
Yeah.
protect members.
I remember that time. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were on the board and you're an amazing
Yeah.
board member as well. So it's been a really rewarding experience.
Yeah. It was, and that was a very intense time for the
Yes.
CLA and for many other associations, but it was really something that very new. We were getting into a new era. Like now we all use Zoom, but back then we didn't
Nope.
for legal proceedings. I really remember how hard John Struthers and the team
Oh,
worked
yes.
to get.
All of them. That executive worked so
I
hard
know,
and the
I
board
remember.
supported so well and
Yeah,
the members too.
yeah,
So it's a time that I look back and it was a scary time, but
yes,
so
it
many people.
was.
Yeah, so very rewarding time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're talking already about stress, John, and I think like one of the things that we're going to be talking about is actually this work-life balance
Yes.
thing. I don't know if it's a real thing, if it's a theory, is it an ideal, or I mean, you've been working with criminal lawyers. I know you work with other associations. CLA
Yeah.
is not the only one, just to clarify, but the reason why I'm talking to you is it's mostly because of your connection with criminal defense lawyers, as you said. And you actually have an outside perspective. Like you see all these lawyers who are constantly working super hard.
Yes.
The work that we do for the CLA, that's in addition to the work that we do as lawyers. So it's
Yes.
volunteer work. And many of the colleagues who work for the CLA do a lot of work, and that's from their own time, their own personal time that they give to the CLA. So, but
Yes.
as someone who has been working with lawyers for so long and who's been watching how things go, I mean, you can see that there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of
Yes.
anxiety. So, um, what are your thoughts about the work-life balance thing for criminal defense lawyers, John?
So I will say I'm not a specialist in this area, but where you alluded to is I do work with various groups. And what I find there's a common similarity amongst all of them. So I do work with psychosocial oncologists, also with Ivy Alumni Toronto. And I do see that there's this thing about wanting to make sure you meet your professional goals at all costs.
Yeah.
But I also see, especially when there is a patient or potential victim that is in the works, that you will put your needs to the side for them out of dedication, out of a great heart, but also because the sense to protect your client, protect those who are in need. And I do see that a lot with criminal defense lawyers as well as the medical profession, as I noted. The thing is, when it's getting harder and harder to do is say, I'm not capable of doing it because you feel like when you say that, you're letting someone down or you're saying, I'm not good enough. And that is not the case. You are good enough, chances are. It's a matter of you won't be good enough if you burn out. And
Yeah.
that's what you have to be careful is if you burn out, you're not going to serve your clients in that or yourself or your family and friends well in the future.
Yeah.
So you do need to pick your priorities and know your boundaries of when you can do things. The other thing that I find with the three groups that I've mentioned, including the Criminal Lawyers Association, is knowing when to put this down,
Mhm.
knowing when it's vital that you're watching it. Because if you, it's so easy to say, oh, you know what? I need to take this. I need to take this. I need to take this.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's a time where you say, no, I have a life. I need to do X, Y. I need to do this for a friend or a family member. I need to do this for me.
Yeah.
You're not being selfish by not looking at it. You're
Yeah.
being honest with yourself. You're taking care of yourself. So that is what I'm finding with my experience. I need to learn a lot more, and I have some horror stories of my attempts. But I will say, if we don't start taking care of ourselves, we're going to burn out. And as you noted, I'm working at from a conference for the Criminal Lawyers Conference
Yeah.
right now here in St. Martin. You're seeing about 100 people here who are all thinking the same thing. You know what? I'm here to learn and relax.
Yeah.
And that's important. Not all of us have the ability to do that. I get it. I didn't vacation for 3 years. I didn't take a day off for 3 years during COVID. I was burning out, but I was doing it to make sure everyone else was fine. I finally realized I couldn't keep going and make sure everyone else is fine if I wasn't fine. So,
So I still have to learn that part. I haven't also had a vacation in a long, long time. I mean, I'm in a hotel right now, but it's for work. So it's
work.
not for like you for a conference. It's for
Yes.
work. I have to be in court. But I mean, that's been a challenge, I think, for many lawyers. It's having this finding the time or making the time um, to take some time off, to be on vacation. I mean, some lawyers are pretty good at that. Uh, Not talking about the crowns, they seem to be always on vacation. But on the
No
defense
comment.
side, there on the defense side, it seems like there are well, there are some lawyers who are pretty good with scheduling vacations. But many are suffering and they just don't have the time. Like work never ends. And especially on the defense side, one of the issues that we have is when you represent clients, they get arrested, they get into trouble. It happens at an unpredictable time, unfortunately.
Yes.
You can have the best plan for the day in the world, and then, you get a phone call, your client is arrested, expecting you to do something right away for them. So
Yep.
that's been um, but how have you been seeing? So I'm just curious to know just in general, like from working with lawyers, what is like a common theme that you see apart from the fact that they need to make more time for themselves? From working with lawyers throughout these years, John, what can you say is common that you've seen with criminal defense lawyers?
So before I did work with the Criminal Lawyers Association,
Mhm.
I was just like everyone else in the public. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, they defend bad guys. They defend bad
Okay.
guys, right? And then I started, I actually wasn't directly working with the group at first, but when I started reading more and meeting the people,
Yeah.
I was like, that's not what it is. They're protecting everyone. They're making sure everyone's rights are being taken care of, that policies and processes and laws are being followed. And I love that. The other thing I've noticed in the volunteers I've dealt with over the years is back to a very honest bunch because you all know one little misinformation can get called out by anyone or
Yeah.
challenged by everyone. So I love the fact that criminal defense lawyers, the ones I've dealt with, are facts. If you say you have an opinion or say, oh, I've heard this, well, give me more information. I can't run with that. I love that you are fact people and you run with it. I do think I have seen over the years the various groups within the Criminal Law Association develop based on needs, whether that be the recent call committee was very important, the women's committee very important, the diversity committee, the indigenous committee. A lot of committees have developed because people realize there were so many areas that need to be tapped into to help improve or understand what other people were going through. Because I will say from the start of working with the Criminal Lawyers Association, I could see as an outsider that certain groups had more expectation on them or different expectation on them than others, and trying to find that balance and understanding why. So in my time, I've learned so much from so many people, like Justice Breeze Davies, Justice Lorianne Thomas, um, oh God, Justice First, Alan Gold, Brian Greenspan, Michael Lacey, Dan Brown, like you name it. I've learned so much from these
Yeah.
people, John Struthers that we've noted,
Yeah.
um, that, and all of them are very strong, very um, fact finding. It's not my opinion. It's here are the facts, run, and I love that.
Mm.
Um, and they're very much um, here's my goal. Let's work with each other and bringing people together. And that's the other thing I like about criminal defense lawyers. It's usually not just one, it's a team.
Yeah.
Recognize you need to talk to various groups to get it together. And I love that. On a personal side, I have met some of the most amazing, you being one. Um,
Thank
who
you.
I've grown to be, hear your stories from the start and kind of grow together,
Yeah.
uh, and kind of bounce each other's, what's going on here, what's going on here, because sometimes you do need to hear that perspective from the outside of your profession.
Yeah.
So you can get all the mentoring in the world in your profession, but that doesn't always help. So there's skills outside that you need to learn. And
That's
that's what I love with the group is
yeah.
I get to learn these skills that I didn't go to school for. I went to school for business,
Yeah.
but I also I'm able to share skills that I have that a lot of people might not have known about. So
Well, I mean, like I think many lawyers, myself included, we can benefit from your business skills because lawyers are not necessarily the best business people. I mean, some are. I
some are
mean,
definitely
you
great
mentioned
marketers.
Dan Brown, for example, is really
He's a
good at
brilliant, yeah,
figuring
he's
out
brilliant.
the whole business side, but not everybody is. So I would definitely, like benefit from that. I mean, one really important point that you mentioned, John, that I would like to get back to, though, like thinking about the Criminal Lawyers Association, because it's, like it's about criminal law. Like it's not about something very specific in criminal law. Like there are some criminal law associations that are dedicated for a very particular niche or group.
Yes,
CLA, it's more criminal defense. But like you mentioned, and that is really true, is throughout the years, like we had new committees that came out because like now, like there was no, let's say, a diversity committee or indigenous, like these are relatively recent, like they've been around now for a few years, but they weren't there since the beginning of the CLA's existence. So that's also really nice to see how, like it just reflects the changes and the development of the law because,
yes.
like maybe 30 years ago or 20 years ago, there was no need for that committee, for the committees that we have today. But now we have, a women's committee. recent
And they're
calls.
very successful.
Mhm.
That's the other thing. We just don't have them. They're
Yeah,
very successful. They do a
yeah,
lot of great work. Yeah, there's conferences and events, but it's also like whether it's be a white paper or standing up to a media person who put a completely sexist article out
yeah,
there, or seeing how a fellow member is being treated based on their background. And I will say the majority, not everyone, but they come together to support
yeah.
and try to understand. Is it perfect? No, it's always going to be evolving and learning, but we can only learn from what we are aware of too. So we have responsibility to try to get out there to learn more, but also we need to listen more to understand what people are going through. I will say where I consider myself incredibly lucky is I had the benefit of being part of these groups at the start.
Yeah.
And even leading up to whether they were needed to be developed. Now, I don't take credit for developing. That was all the volunteers, but I was part of the conversations. And I
Yeah.
will say my eyes were so open in ears when hearing some of the stories that people went through
Yeah.
and what they go through. Um, I would never ever assume someone's a secretary. That's just me. Nor is that an insult to be a secretary, but I just never assume someone to be a secretary. I would never assume someone's an Uber driver.
Mhm.
But to hear that this happens to lawyers when they go to court
Yeah.
is just mind-boggling that in today's time and age that people jump to these conclusions. So these committees are so important to help our groups, but also educate other people to let them know what's going on. And I've seen a real difference in our new grads and our recent calls when they go to work for firms or small groups, and they're listened to more now.
Mhm.
They're part of the conversation. So that I see huge progress and wins. I can't name all the committee members
Yes.
who are instrumental, but you know who you are. And I know you're one of them, Maya. So I just think it's so important that those voices are being heard and that they feel empowered. That's the other thing is we've created a new generation of volunteers that now feel like they have a voice where they didn't have one before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so from your point of view, because you work not just with the CLA, as we already mentioned, but with other groups for other professions as well.
Yeah.
How important are these associations for members of these professions? Like, from your point of view?
Extremely important.
Okay.
So I would recommend, depending on people's budgets, like I would, food and family, that all comes first.
Yeah.
But I always recommend you are a member, at least one of your local or professional associations. It's great for networking, but it's also that money often goes towards bursaries, scholarships, helping other people, providing opportunities you wouldn't know you would have. And the thing is where all professions are finding this, we are so work consumed that we're getting lonelier.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, memberships in professional associations are one way to help make sure you're connected still. So, for example, if you're going through something in your practice, by being a member of the Criminal Law Association, you have more avenues of reaching out to someone who might be going through the same thing to help listen to, or
Yeah.
just say, "Hey, I'm in your area. Can we go for a coffee?" The number of times I see people who do that, it's great. So it's not just about getting professional development; it's building your network.
Yeah.
Um, I will say especially when it's a misunderstood profession. Now, I don't think criminal law is misunderstood within the legal industry. I think it's still misunderstood by the public,
That's
and,
true.
and that is frustrating for me because I'm like, you guys don't get how important. I shouldn't say you guys, by the way. You people
Yeah.
you should understand how important the criminal law and it is to our rights and what it does for a lot of people and protect people. Um, but if you're in a profession that's not well understood, having that body of like-minded people to help with that voice, and that's why we're called the voice of criminal law. And as much as we're Ontario, and we do have members outside of Ontario, a
Yeah.
lot of groups do look to us, US and Canada, even Europe, believe it or not, because we actually have one of the louder voices. Um, and I like to say that we work well with other groups as well. So I don't look at other groups as competition. I look at other groups as allies.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
and you should talk to each other, you should work with each other, but there's no reason to be competitors.
I agree. I mean, I totally agree with this point of view. And it's not just with groups and associations, even with individual lawyers. I think there's a place for everyone
There
in this
is.
profession. because whatever one lawyer or one group can give to the profession or to clients, another one can't. And so people compensate each other. So
Yes.
I totally agree. I mean, I believe in that, like I said, on a group level. Like I don't see one association competing against another one because the Criminal Lawyers Association has its own goals, and whatever it cannot fulfill, it will be compensated by another group. And the
That's the
same
thing.
thing with individual lawyers. Like, for example, like, I don't want to, I'm not advertising for myself, but one of the strong points I have that I feel I'm very lucky is my language skills, that I'm trilingual and fully trilingual. So, clients who want to have someone like me who they can communicate with in either French, English, or Arabic, they want someone like me. Someone else can give them something else, but not the language thing. So I,
Yep.
and so
And
I'm
that's so important, by
not,
the way. Like I wish I was bilingual. I'm not, unfortunately.
yeah,
I want to,
which is
but
so funny because it's John Chagnon,
I
like
know, I know. And I try my French on my end. It doesn't go really well. But I do think, you see on the listserv, for example, there's a lot of people who request various different speaking lawyers and
yes,
all that.
yeah,
And I do think it's very important to let people know if you're comfortable in practicing in other languages
yeah,
and what your skills are,
yeah,
then you should let people know. Because there are a lot of opportunities
yeah.
there as well. And especially with the whole AI world, because a lot of people are turning to AI for translation. And as we know, that's not perfect. We have a horror story with the
Problematic.
Gamu Cup, as you know, where I
Yeah.
used AI for a gala and I somehow invited a Quebec team to a wedding. Uh, you got to be really careful with those.
I know, I totally agree. I mean, we also have had our horror stories, even in criminal law, where lawyers also have relied on cases because of legal research that they did on
Yes.
AI. And unfortunately, some cases either didn't exist or were completely unrelated to the area in which they were practicing. But I mean, one thing that I do want to say, because I mean, the legal group that you're working with, as you mentioned, is the Criminal Lawyers Association, CLA.
Mhm.
I do have to say, for me personally, on a personal level, the CLA is the first association that helped me when I started working as a lawyer. Like that's why CLA will always have a very special a place in my heart, because I remember when I started, because I've always been a sole practitioner, but like it's easier now because I have experience. But when I first started 10 years ago, I didn't know anything about criminal defense and I didn't know where to start. I didn't know anybody in criminal defense because I came from a Crown background. I was articling in a Crown's office. And then I can't remember how, or I think it was, I was talking to someone from the Law Society, and they said, well, if you're getting into criminal law, there's one in Ontario. There's the Criminal Lawyers Association, which is one of their biggest associations. So you should maybe try to join them. I'm like, okay, well, I have nothing to lose. And I joined the CLA. And that was, I remember the year where CLA was having a conference, a joint conference with MAG. And
Yes.
I attended that conference. I didn't know anybody. It was my first time ever attending a criminal law conference.
Yes.
At that conference, I met people and you know, started to get to know people. Then I attended other events from the CLA. And it's really the CLA that got me engaged and got me connected. Just like you said, like the reason why these associations are important is because they allow you to network, to meet other people in your profession. And for me, it really helped because as I was trying to, build
Yes.
my practice, it was good to know that there was this group here that I could, like get to know. And the first lawyers that I got to know were through the CLA. And like now, obviously, I know a lot of people
But
from.
I will say though, to give you credit, the reason why you're one of the success stories of in business in general, but success in the CLA member is because you came out and you asked questions. You talked to people. And I still remember you reaching out to me once by phone, and you and I just talked. And I was like, what do you want? Like, what do you want from the CLA?
Yeah.
And I just laid out all these things and who can I introduce you to? And I love doing that. I love when someone calls and or emails and says, listen, this is what I would love. This is the skill set I really want to learn. I love helping people connect.
Yeah.
That's one of my joys. You and I connected on a personal level though
Yeah.
too, because we are like, oh, let's go for coffee. Like,
Yeah.
let's get you more involved because you stepped up, you volunteered, you come through with everything. But also the one thing that I love about working with you is if you're too busy, and you don't do this enough, by the way, but if you're too busy, you just say, I can't right now.
Yeah.
And you feel horrible about it. But I'm like, no. You should feel good that you can say, I can't right now because you have other priorities. Every volunteer needs to be able to do that and know they can do that. You're only letting it down if you're letting it burn you out and you don't get, it just don't feel bad of saying you can't do something. Feel bad thinking you have no choice to do it and you're behind kind of thing. But you were very active in talking to people, getting to know people, letting people know your interests and running with them. And I think that's very important.
And I mean, again, like the CLA also has really some of the best lawyers in the
Yes,
province in Ontario. So it's really a very good
very good.
opportunity to connect with and various groups and ages. Like you have senior, you have recent calls. It's all
A lot
group.
of students too. And I'll tell you, the students get starstruck when they go to our conferences.
Yeah.
They can't believe which lawyers are in front of them. And I just love saying, okay, you want to meet this person? Let me introduce you to
Yeah.
this person. I don't know everyone, but I love connecting people.
Well, I mean,
Um,
because especially the big fall conference that happens every year in the fall, like that's where almost everybody is there. So it's
it's getting bigger every year.
yeah.
And it, as you know, it's we have the recent call conference usually in September.
Yeah.
That's getting bigger every year. And you were a huge everyone, the one reason it is a hybrid conference is because Tanya and Maya said, John, it has to be hybrid. Before that, it was in person or virtual only.
I
So you
love
can
that
say,
conference. I enjoyed
yeah,
like working,
it's a
like
really good conference. It's a great conference. So there are plans on the way for that one. Then we have the Women in Criminal Law Dinner, which sold out at 100 people this year, which was amazing. And I've never attended that conference because I
yeah.
do believe if you're going to go, you need to identify to give that space. And I heard it was fantastic this year. The committee did a great job. Then the main fall conference and the Martin Medal dinner, which Martin Medal nominations are open, and I would love to see some nominations from everyone. But the other thing I will say about criminal defense lawyers is while they're so amazing, they're like every other profession, they're very slow to seek recognition.
Mhm.
You have some who do, but I just brought up the Martin Medal Award. A lot of people are afraid to submit nominations. Well, they're confidential, so do it. Most of you deserve a lot of recognition. Run with it. We're going to have the Mensch Award later this year. Please submit. Like, there's so much recognition out there, but we need to know you want it. And
Well,
and and
and that's a very important point because there are a lot of people in this profession who work really hard, who have been working
yes,
hard for so many years, and unfortunately don't get the recognition that they deserve. So it's really very important to
yes,
actually, like if you can think of someone who you think really deserves to get recognition. I think you should get an award. Honestly, like I think CLA should give you an award because to me, your job is the hardest one, John. Like, seriously, I'm not kidding.
well, I don't think so because I see what some of the board members do and they go way above and beyond. But I will say I got a gift this year at the fall conference at a complete surprise from
Nice.
Sam from London Woodstock area. She gave me this giant bouquet of flowers. And some people have seen the picture of it. I felt like I was a beauty queen that won an award. I was very embarrassed because I'm not one for a lot of recognition, but I will say that made me feel so special because you don't
But
know
you
if people
are.
appreciate
You
you. Well,
are.
and you're saying, and I will say, numerous presidents have reached out to me and told me, John, you're a great team member, but I can say I'm only as strong as the president and the team. And I have been very fortunate to work with some amazing people who've really taught me a lot, who've given me honest feedback and direction, and they're all volunteers and they don't have to do that, and that's what's amazing is they're all volunteers, and
Yeah.
even some people not on the board anymore. I've kept connections with so many people and they're doing great work with the CLA, sometimes with other groups, But I'm always, if you need feedback or ideas, I'm always here for you because I love the connections.
Yeah. No, and I can say, like John is really one of the nicest people that I've met in the profession, and it's like again, I honestly believe that you deserve an award, not just a bouquet. Like a bouquet is very nice, but it's you truly deserve to have an award because of all the work that you do. It's not easy to coordinate all these various projects because, as we said, like the CLA is, it's an Ontario-wide association. It's a big association. It
It's
has so
massive,
many
yeah.
committees. I don't even know how many committees we have, like the number.
About, I think there's about 13 and they're all active.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is
And
I may do 1% of the work. The 99% is done by all these volunteers and they do an amazing job. And they're always one other thing I love about the Criminal Lawyers Association is they always have their pulse on something coming up. So they're not one to wait for something to happen. They're ones to be watching what's coming and then running with it. And sometimes it also means they're also looking what other groups are doing and seeing how they can partner and work with them. Because again, it's not about competition, it's about moving the profession forward.
yes, I agree. I mean, like ultimately, especially on the criminal defense side, things haven't been too good, I would say, since COVID. It's been very difficult times, and it has affected the criminal defense bar, unfortunately,
Yes.
the most. And that's why it's very important for us to just help each other as opposed to just compete with each other and to view each other as enemies or as like, well, I can't coexist with you. It's like either me or you. Well,
Yes.
it's just silly, like this way of thinking.
No.
We should all
And
be,
and I will say I don't know anyone on the board who feels that way. It's fine, everyone can have their opinion, but no one that I'm aware of would ever say them or us. It's not like that. It's just more like how do we move forward? We at the end of the day, we just want everyone's work lives and personal lives to be happy and better. And as you noted, as we did that diversity grant, the women's grant that last year with LSO, there's a lot of burnout out there. Um, and there's a lot, especially like there's certain segments that have burnout at home, burnout at work. The expectations are higher. So it's really trying to find a balance for everyone. Will we ever have it perfect? No. Everything changes so much. And you know what? A large onus it is on the individuals to be open to ideas and change, but also not being so quick to judge others who adopted a change to find balance. Appreciate those people, don't judge them.
yeah. I totally agree. So we talked about a few things, John, about like work-life balance and about volunteering, the CLA and the various committees. But what's going on? Like, is there anything upcoming that like for the CLA? I know right now you're at the conference at
Yes.
St. Martin
Yes.
this year. So what is there? I mean, obviously there's going to be a fall conference every year.
There is a lot about to launch. So we're going to be launching the mentorship program, the call for mentors and mentees, very shortly.
True.
Um,
I
I
I participated in that program back in the day, like as looking for when I was new and I was looking for
Yep.
mentors. So I strongly recommend that people also apply for that.
And I've referenced people to you getting into law in Quebec because I think you're a huge asset for people. But definitely, please apply for that. We've launched the Martin Medal and call for award nominations. As you know, we also have the extended leave program that was launched by the Women's Committee at the fall conference last year. They are taking applications for it, so I really recommend people take a look at that. And if you're not sure of what it's about, email woman@criminallawyers.ca or me at the office. The spring program is going to be in June, and that will be launching probably in March. The committee's meeting shortly, and Cassandra and George Joseph are going to be leading as co-chairs again, which will be great. We also will have the recent call conference. I think it's September 26th, so don't quote me, but it'll be hybrid at
Around
the
that time.
OBA.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, the fall conference, I think the fall conference is November 20th, 21st. No Taylor Swift, hopefully. Women's dinner will be right before then as well. There are several networking events being discussed this year for recent calls and diversity potentially combined. So I recommend that. And then, as you know, we have the Gale Moo Cup, February 27th and 28th. So that's exciting. We've got 19 bilingual competition, but 19 schools coming in for it. So and also, we have For the Defense, our publication. So great with Naya and Margaret doing a fantastic job as editors for that. So by all means, if anyone has any questions, I'm always reachable by ed@criminallawyers.ca. I'm happy to talk to anyone to help guide you through this at the Criminal Lawyers Association, but also the benefits. That's the thing is when you're a member of an association, know the benefits and know how to use them. And if you're not sure, call us in the office. We'll help you.
And there's a listserv as well for once you're a member of the Criminal Lawyers Association. That's
Yes,
also how you can get the emails of other lawyers because many lawyers are very active on the listserv. So if you want to connect
yes,
with someone, that's also a way for you to get to know these.
yes.
So a listserv is also very important. And so the CLA has one. So,
Yes.
all right. Well, John, I don't want to take too much of your time because I know you're at a place where you should be taking advantage of the weather. But it was so
I'm
lovely.
burned. I've already
I,
done that. Look at, I'm burned.
I mean, we always chat, like it's very nice to chat with you. It's the first time that we're having a more
Yes.
formal chat. But it's really very nice to see you and to chat with you. Thank you for making time to chat
Thank you
with
for
me.
inviting me.
It's my pleasure. I've been trying to make this happen for so long. So, I'm very happy and thrilled that it's finally happening. 2026 is hopefully the year where
It is a
this
good
will
year, and I just want to do a quick thank you to you. You've been amazing. I just also want to do a quick thank you to all the people, you know who you are, who've helped guide me in this profession, really teach me. I could name them all, but honestly, it's going to sound like I'm giving an award speech, and it's not. But there's just so many of you that have been so instrumental in my success, in my career, and thank you to all of you.
Well, and I will say to the CLA, like, you deserve an award. Like, you really do deserve a real award.
Everyone heard it.
So,
Everyone heard it.
honestly, like the CLA can't exist, I think, without you. There's obviously,
Thank
I'm not
you.
taking away the work of all the
Oh,
volunteers, but they all rely a lot on you and your guidance. So, there's no CLA without John Chagnon. So,
you're saying it, but I would say you guys are very capable and you guys get all the talent in the world. So thank you.
thank you so much, John.
Okay. You have a great night.
You as well.